Okay, good morning. I'm Silvana Cotrufo, and this work is based on the building damage assessment after earthquakes events and proposes a damage scale based on vertical imagery. In the last few years, we observed an increase in the impact of natural disasters. We know how the effects of earthquakes or hurricanes or fires can be devastating. So an efficient emergency management and adequate emergency preparedness and proper civil protection organization are often the only elements that could provide an aid. Remote sensing plays an extremely important role in the emergency mapping, which perfectly fits into the 4 stages of the emergency management cycle. It's important to remark the importance of the rapid mapping service during the 4 stages, the response stage. Which is the production in a few hours of maps after an activation by civil protection. The maps can provide knowledge on the territory and assets prior to the emergency, as in the case of the reference maps, or can provide an assessment of the event extent, as in the case of the delineation maps, or can provide an assessment of the damage grade and its spatial distribution, as in the case of the grading maps. In this case, a comparison between satellite or aerial images pre and post event allow to assign a level of damage according to a specific classification. To date, different agencies provide rapid mapping products, but standard damage scale in emergency mapping is currently missing, and sometimes the adaptive scale are inadequate to the available image typology. So in this context, the main goals of this work is to increase the effectiveness of rapid mapping by developing a building damage scale tailored to very high resolution vertical satellite imagery, providing visual interpretation guidelines. A standard scale allows satellite-based emergency mapping mechanisms to provide data in a shared standard, streamlining their exploitation and integration with other data sources by the end users. So to achieve this goal, the methodology shown on this slide has been applied, and the methodology requires a case study to be analyzed. Copernicus Emergency Management Service, it has been the most active SEM mechanism during the Italian earthquakes events in 2016. For this reason, at first, the information and the damage assessment maps generated by Copernicus, covering 5 towns of the central Italy, and during the 24th of August 2016 earthquakes, have been analyzed. The damage assessment was based on the comparison between an aerial pre-event imagery acquired on 2014 and satellite post-event imagery acquired on 25th of August 2016 with a ground simple distance of 50 centimeters. The adapted scale is based on the European macroseismic scale 98 and uses 5 levels: completely destroyed, ugly damage, moderately damaged, negligible to slight damage, and not affected. Generally, a ground truth is required to assess the accuracy of a classification dataset, and is one of the input to calculate a confusion matrix that it's usually used as a quantitative method of characterizing the thematic accuracy of a dataset. For this purpose, exploiting the availability of an aerial imagery acquired on 25th of August 2016 with a ground simple distance of 10 centimeters, we assign a level of damage to each building without any time restriction, using the same scale adopted by Copernicus EMS. The results of this assessment has been considered as a ground truth, and the Copernicus EMS rapid mapping analysis accuracy has been evaluated, calculating a confusion matrix for each area. The overall accuracy is more or less 60%, but if we analyze the confusion matrix of Illica, a town of the central Italy, we can observe that the intermediate classes are thus characterized by the larger discrepancies as confirmed by the lowest values of producer accuracy and user accuracy. So we decide to perform a test by aggregating the intermediate classes in a new class damaged in order to evaluate its impact on the accuracy. And as expected, we observed an increase in the producer accuracy and in the user accuracy, and an increase also in the overall accuracy. So the results of the test confirmed that the need to reduce the number of damage classes and address the damage interpretation guideline, shifting from structural damages like the European macroseismic scale to damage visible on vertical imagery. This is the reason why negligible to slight damage is not accessible, and the proposed standard building damage scale includes a destroyed level that shall be assigned to structures collapsed or largely collapsed, an aggregated damaged class, which includes measure visible damages such as collapse of part of the roof or serious failure of walls, and minor visible damages such as collapse of chimneys or roof tiles detach, or presence of damaged proxies like sand deposit around the building. But when we talk about remote sensing, the photo interpretation of an imagery could be uncertain due to the low image quality or to the presence of possible damage proxies like small traces or sand deposit around the building. This is why a possibly damaged level has been provided. Lastly, no visible damage level shall be assigned to structures that are not damaged, but it's important to remark that this class doesn't exclude the presence of damages that can't be assessed from vertical satellite imagery. To validate the proposed damage scale, it has been applied on a different area analyzed by Copernicus EMS related to the same event. So at first, ground truth data have been identified by developing a UAV-based damage assessment, comparing the same pre-event imagery acquired on 2014 with a UAV post-event imagery acquired on 7th of September 2016 with a ground simple distance of 7 centimeters. Also in this instance, we decide to aggregate the Copernicus EMS damage classes in order to enable the accuracy assessment of Copernicus satellite analysis results. And we observe that also in this case the overall accuracy is more or less 16%. So exploiting the same post-satellite imagery adopted by Copernicus, we performed an independent satellite damage assessment, and adopting the proposed standard building damage scale in order to evaluate its fitness for purpose. So if we compare the results of Copernicus satellite damage assessment with those of the independent satellite damage assessment, we observed an increase, a relevant increase in the overall accuracy, in the producer accuracy, and in the user accuracy. So it proves that damage scale based on structural damages without specific visual interpretation guidelines are not suitable for analysis based on vertical imagery and limited spatial resolution. To date, building damage scale is adopted as a standard by the Copernicus EMS rapid mapping services, and additionally, it's currently under review by the International Working Group on Satellite-Based Emergency Mapping members in the framework of the Emergency Mapping Guidelines Initiative. Thank you.